Hello and welcome to Fin Business. Today we are in conversation with a special guest whose name is Mallikarjuna Rao and he's an executive director at Syndicate Bank. So welcome to Fin Business.
Thank you.
There are a lot of fraud cases coming up, and that is how many people are still skeptical or reluctant to go on digital, because transactions are really, really hard for sometimes OTP, then there are many other passwords, and at the same time the fraud levels are also increasing.
Correct.
So innovation is good, but now innovation is coming with the umbilical cord, which is a cyber crime.
Correct.
So how do you tackle that? What is the mechanism that you are adopting at your bank to prevent such crimes?
There are 2-3 varieties or 2-3 categories in modus operandi we can devise. One is at the basic level identity theft. That means if the credentials of the customers are passed on to a fraudster, he can easily perpetrate the fraud. Now there, when the experience, when such kind of an experience has been seen by various banks and the regulator, the second factor authentication has come, which we call as a techno-operational control of a transaction whereby even if identity theft occurs, ultimately the OTP as a second factor authentication will take care, because that OTP is supposed to go to mobile number which is expected to be held by the customer himself without passing on. Then the next layer comes utilizing certain equipment to capture your data. That is whether you call a skimming equipment in an ATM or a skimming equipment in a point of sale terminal, whereby unknowingly you swipe the card, you complete the transaction, you don't get any doubt, however your credentials are captured there, including the PIN, as a result of which again the fraud can take place. Now in this case the responsibility lies with the banker, acquirer banker, whereupon this device has been given, though the merchant establishment also will be responsible, because sanitizing the environment is the responsibility. That is one area, controls are there. Now these kind of frauds have come down. There are other frauds which are happening in the net. When they are happening in the net, more importantly, the alarming position is even mobile SIMs are cloned. If you are having mobile with you, you feel that you are secure because mobile you continue to hold, but you realize suddenly that your mobile your number is deactivated and somebody has taken the SIM. Now here also there is a compromise at some service provider level, but the result is lost to the customer. Now in this case as well, government has taken a call, or even regulators have put an imposition in such a way that KYC norms have to be very strict, and cloning of the number like duplicate SIM being given are controlled by the service providers. Service providers also have realized that if it is not controlled properly, it will create a menace. Now these are at the 3 layers. Now beyond that as well, there can be fraud. That is the reason why recently Reserve Bank of India has come out with a guideline where if a fraud occurs and you are not able to conclude where the problem is there, neither at the hands of the customer nor at the hands of the bank. However, even in that case, banker has to compensate the customer. Creating an environment completely bereft of any cyber attack is an ongoing process. At no point of time you can say that my environment is completely secure, because the fraudsters are also looking at various new avenues to crack our setup. So it is a continuous process. We have our own internal setup, though it would not be appropriate for me to discuss in detail. A passing reference I can do that. Regularly we undertake vulnerability assessment test, penetration testing in our entire WAN environment, wherever equipment is there, to see that our environment is not vulnerable for security. Now when the transaction happens in a wide horizon, involving a mobile where we don't have a control, mobile is held by a customer where banker has no control, and the message is transmitted through the environment and reaches the banker for completion of a transaction, there is an encryption mechanism imposed by Reserve Bank of India. However, the encryption is not applicable for all transactions. For smaller transactions where the risk is less, the encryption is not mandatory. But going forward, now majority of the transactions are taking place whereupon the devices are completely looked at by the environment to be very safe. There are certain guidelines, there are certain security standards which we are sticking to that.
True. So it's a very interesting point that you shared about the SIM card cloning. It's a new trend that has been watched in the industry. So innovators are coming with more innovation than the banks coming with the digital innovation. And I guess you guys, specifically banks, and needs to be more active going ahead and need to upgrade all the time. That's what you want to say, right? So all right, thank you so much, Mallikarjuna Rao, for talking to us. It was wonderful in talking to you. That was Mr. Mallikarjuna Rao from Syndicate Bank. He's executive director there, and he shared a lot of insights on digital banking. Thank you so much for watching.